I want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your very busy schedules. I hope that there is something within this video that is a benefit to you or to somebody that you know. Please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment down below. If you don't want to leave a comment down below, please feel free to go ahead and you can follow us on Gettr and Minds, as well as if you wish, you can support us on Rumble, Locals, and Odyssey. Let me just start with this, I guess. If anything, these videos have had one thing I can say. They're a video log of me going bald. The reason I say that is, it's vanity for me. We'll see what happens here over the next little bit. I admit, we're all not perfect beings. This is why we strive to be better than we are. Something more, something greater than. I once remember telling one of my sons, everybody who has a statue made of him was some kind of asshole. Well, take a look at George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Martin Luther King. All of these great men who we uphold in the form of statues give us something not only where we see their flaws, but they themselves and the ideas that they lived up to and that they embodied, that we want to strive and be better to get to that point, to be a better person. And we're talking again, great men like Thomas Jefferson, flawed, but all a symbol of something in life to look up to try to strive to be ourselves, or even better than. Yet, I made my last video talking about vice over virtue, and I actually recorded it before the Grammys came out, and there was the Super Bowl. At this point, the satanic ideology is pretty much intentionally meant to either upset us or to aggravate us more. But it's obvious some of us could be doing more, speaking a little more, although again, it's considered hate speech in some areas, especially in England, where a lady was arrested for thinking about praying across from an abortion clinic. What are we looking at? We're looking at with this the self. The self more than the greater good or the community as a whole. What is the devil? Or you can even think of it, what is evil? The evil is when you concentrate solely on the self. The devil fell from heaven because he thought himself could rule heaven, not stopping to think about even a greater good or something greater than himself, but instead chose to think only of himself. And this is part of the fall. There's a lot. I mean, obviously there's more to it. But if you boil it down, basically, it really does come to he was very selfish and was cast from heaven for that selfishness. And that alone should be a hint. Evil is selfishness. What has me concerned at the moment? Okay, I have these two news articles. Let's see here if I can keep this right. Sometimes I will. Being my own producer, I tend to forget things. And then I'm working on two computers. All right, we have this from National Catholic Register. The FBI retracts leaked documents orchestrating investigation of Catholics. Of course, Yahoo News actually also covered this. FBI internal memo warns against radical traditional Catholic ideology. Well, I did say a couple videos back that they were going to start going after Christians because they're having so much, the FBI is having so much trouble finding white supremacy to fight that they have to make it up. And thus, you have all of the satanic ideology going on right now, and the FBI finding a way to use it as an excuse to target Christians, calling the Catholics specifically the radicals. Oh, yeah, this was an interesting one. Feel free to look them up. Like I said, as you can see, they're on the internet. From the National Catholic Register, the FBI says it'll retract a leaked document published on the internet February 8th that appears to reveal that the Bureau's Richmond Division launched an investigation into radical traditional Catholics and their possible ties to the far-right white national movement. Wait. See, They can't find enough white supremacists. They got to make them up. Here we go. Highlight it real quick for you. Whoops, too far. This paragraph here. The document, which was published on the website Uncover DC and is titled Interest of Radical or Ethnically Motivated Violent Extremists in Radical Traditional Catholic Ideology, almost certainly presents new migration opportunities. The document singles out Catholics who are interested in the traditional Latin Mass as potential leaked in violent extremist groups. I know a few Catholics that'll be a little upset at hearing this. Again, even right now, we do have an investigation by the Senate, and I'll ask a couple questions about that, like, what are you people doing that's any good? As they're looking into the weaponization of the federal governments against the American citizens. While our standing, this coming from the FBI, National Press Office confirmed to CNA that the document came from the Richmond office, but stated that it will remove the document from FBI systems because it does not meet the exacting standards of the FBI. The reason they go into, quote-unquote, retracting this document, but already by this point, who knows how many other documents, essays, or, quote-unquote, empirical data has been gathered from the same source in order to continue to push their agenda. Well, where is their source? The Southern Poverty Law Center is their supposed source. Marked unclassified for official use, the document includes a list of organizations with Catholic ties that are listed by the Southern Poverty Law Center's list of hate groups. The Southern Poverty Law Center has faced questions about its credibility from conservatives and Christian organizations that have accused the group of a left-wing bias. Among the group that made the SPLC's 2021 list of supposed hate groups are the conservative and pro-family groups Alliance Defending Freedom, the Family Research Council, Act for Americans, and the Center for Security Policies, and the American Freedom Law Center. The organization identified in the documents as adhering to radical traditionalist Catholic ideology include Tradition in Action, The Remnant, Culture War Magazine, and the Fatima Crusader. A warning added to the document had noted the potential criminality exhibited by the members of a group referenced herein does not negate the group or the members' right under the First Amendment of the Constitution. Basically, it goes on to continue to say how the federal government was planning to infiltrate certain organizations to look specifically the current trend of radical or ethically motivated violent extremists interested in radical traditionalist Catholic ideologies provides new opportunities to migrate the radical or ethnically motivated violent extremist threat through the outreach to traditional Catholic parishes and the development of sources with the placement and access to report on radical and ethnically motivated violent extremists seeking to use radically traditional Catholic ideology, social media sites, or places of worship as facilitation platforms to promote violence, the document reads. So yes, even though you can get upset at what's going on with the satanic ideology, you better not do anything, or you could find yourself January 6th. This is not the first time the FBI justified an insertion into religious communities by claiming that it was looking for violent extremists. After Al-Qaeda orchestrated December 21st, 2021 attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City, the FBI surveyed various mosques in search of Muslim extremists. Again, accusing all Muslims of being extremists. So from Yahoo News, obviously not a right-wing news source, as the, National Catholic Register would obviously be considered a violent right-wing extremist news source. I'm a little confused when traditional Catholic, well, anyways, especially those who like Latin Mass. They gotta have it not going there. And again, this one even goes radical traditional Catholic ideology and claiming it almost certainly presents new migration opportunities, according to the document shared by the FBI whistleblower on Wednesday. And of course, you can read more to the story if you wish to go to Yahoo News. The story continues, which it goes on to talk about as well. Radical traditional Catholics compose a small minority of overall Roman Catholics, adherent and separate and distinct from traditional Catholics who prefer the traditional Latin Mass and pre-Vatican II teachings and traditions without the more extremist ideological beliefs and violent rhetoric. Basically, it also says the pre-Vatican II teachings is basically if you don't like this pope or the previous pope, then you reject the Vatican teachings. I'm not even going to get started on that. So as far as they are concerned, if you say this pope is not Catholic, you could be a violent extremist as far as the FBI is concerned. Yeah, again, I know a couple of the people who watch my channel who will be a little upset with that. But I did want to get that out there and let you know. Please feel free. They're going off the Southern Poverty Law Center, which if you're against abortion, you're a hate group. I'm not them. Don't ask me to make sense of it. So now we find ourselves in a position with leaders without integrity. Again, let's look at Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the activities of Hunter Biden's corporation selling to the Chinese with Biden intentionally making a profit while he's doing it. Why is Biden still in office? When we have a leader without integrity, then America itself has no integrity. This bothers me. Again, being a vet, willing to die for this country, going, where's our integrity gone? Where's the strength in America gone? The Grammys may have had the lowest watched, but they're still out there. And then there was the whole Super Bowl thing. So, I mean, we're having hearings. We're looking into the Twitter files and finding that the government colluded, big corporation easily slipped and colluded with the government to censor people. We find that with YouTube. We find that with Twitter as they're currently in a hearing. Sorry about that, but when you have a 15-year-old son with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, you kind of have to get ready to pause in the middle of whatever you're doing. Parenthood. Anyways, as I was saying, the point of these commissions, what are the point of these government commissions that are going on right now? As long as these hearings by the Republicans, just to a waste of tax dollars. And why do I say that? Because again, they get extra money for being on commissions, and these commissions, like I said, the Twitter files, are they leading to anybody going to jail? If there's no arrests, then they're just making the extra pay for sitting on these commissions and going, oh, shame on you. While we have the trans community specifically teaching people to ignore the shame. I read that in an educational magazine about how that is one of the goals of them transitioning is to get past the stereotypes of shame. When you look at the commission at the moment, what are they doing? Okay, the Twitter files. Well, they're calling out people who censored people, but it's still going on. Let's take a quick look at, say, the Eliza Blue stuff. And it's the reason that Tim Pool may possibly be getting sued. The issue is not her or that she's advocating for sex trafficking or that she claims to be a right-wing representative who came on the scene out of nowhere, who has continuously said all she really wants to do is become famous. Well, now she's achieved the infamy of that fame. And the reason I say it, again, Tim Pool's looking being sued over some of this. And it's not that people are upset that, sex trafficking. It's not that it doesn't happen. It's the way that she's claiming it's happening. Really quickly, when people started to question her background story, she caused for them, because she's friends with Elon, to start getting banned when they started questioning her story. And then, of course, with Tim Pool, people asked for him to cover it because it's a censorship thing, and he claims to be anti-censorship. But he seems to have misunderstood his crowd. A whole big thing has gone on with that, of him having to issue a retraction even with the story that was put out. And the problem is because of the way the story is written as well, and Tim Pool, he supports this obvious listen and believe all women, because what it is it's questioning her background and how much we should question her specifically, what she claims happened versus what she actually had happened. And what it sounded like to me was what I said when I first had heard her. Sounds like a woman who regrets her past and is trying to rewrite her history, only she's doing it under the believe all women, that you need to take what she says and not pay attention to any of the story or possible grift that she may be running, as she claims to run a humanity house, a charity, but there's no paperwork for this charity she supposedly is running. Of course, him and his editor, or him and a writer on his staff, wrote a hit piece. The article was removed because it named a specific YouTuber for stalking and some pretty horrific things, specifically of doing these things without any evidence. This YouTuber is the first one to actually compile Eliza Blue's story with her history. Therefore, now that's what this whole piece was written against. Tim Pool taking it down, saying that people didn't understand the investigative nature of it. It was a fluff piece if I ever heard of it. And this from a man who built his reputation on being an investigative reporter and anti-censorship. Now, of course, others that had brought forth it have found themselves censored on Twitter, on YouTube, being demonetized over just even questioning this woman's background. So there's proof that she has some pretty powerful friends involved in this again. The problem I have with her story is it's a listen and believe story. Listen to me and believe me, regardless of the accuser, which also is a contradiction to the Constitution of innocent until proven guilty. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to join me today. I hope that there is something within this video that you find of interest to you or benefit. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment down below. Thank you very much for being a subscriber to the YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Gettr and Minds, as well as find these videos in case something should happen to our YouTube channel on Odyssey, Rumble, and Locals, as well as being able to support us there. Thank you very much. Oh yes, and I wanted to take one moment real quick to point out when we were on the page, you can't necessarily see it because of me, but it says right here, as of like 4 minutes ago by Fox News, face masks made, quote, little to no difference, unquote, in preventing spread of COVID, scientific review finds by the CDC. So again, with that, I want to say thank you very much. United we stand, divided we fall. God bless you, and God bless America.